Aye, not live just now. As long as he doesn't get near it.
Exactly.
Aye, I know you too well. Michael's the one to watch.
100%.
Yes, by the way, he'll put his live.
He's the one to watch.
He'll definitely put his live, to be honest with you.
You start getting
Get me
crap with
shot.
me, right? I promise you right now, I'll reverse
I'll keep
it.
it live.
I'll come back and bite you.
Aye, no,
I'll keep it
100%.
light, right? I'll
The
keep it
patter's been pretty crazy already. Even before getting on here, like you have been giving it quite stinking to us, to be fair.
I think he's used his best patter already, hasn't he?
I don't know.
No,
I
100%.
don't even think I've got any fucking patter.
Oh, of course you
not
do.
bad.
Of course you got some patter. Of course you do. Here, how was the haircut that Michael gave you? Have you had? another
I've
haircut
actually had
since?
one since then, yep.
It was actually not bad, the one I gave you, was
actually
it?
don't know here. It was easy. You can't beat a number 3.
No, you can't. Is the 3
Do you
all
know what I
over?
mean? A 3 all over.
Aye.
That's what I've been doing all last year.
Aye.
And this year. I've had one this year, so I kind of need, I'm getting a wee bit of a
Michael,
clap back
give it up
again.
again.
If you want, I'll fade the sides in for
Well,
you.
that's
if you
what I
want.
need, to be fair. I want to kind of grow it up now.
Yeah.
I got him some clippers for his birthday.
Aye.
Some
Good ones.
professional-
Obviously, didn't use them.
Exactly. On my face anyway. Aye.
Yeah, I can't say anything about hair, man. There's a good reason why I've got my,
Well,
my
I've
hat
seen,
on.
I've seen a couple of blonde tips coming through your back,
Aye.
of your
Do you
hat.
want to see it? I'll show you
And you
just
got that.
very briefly, but it's a disaster.
Stunning.
Oh, dear.
Disaster.
Oh, dear.
Disaster.
Not great, is
No,
it?
it wasn't best. Like, it was, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like one of those ones that's almost like expectations versus reality.
Yeah.
Seen a couple of other people that had nice, like, white, it was almost like kind of like whitey blue hair, and then,
Do you know what you should really do? Make it Mohican.
yeah,
It will stand out better.
I don't have the hair.
It will suit, no,
I don't have the hairline from Mohican.
The hairline, it looks quite long.
It's long, man, but
Hairline,
it's
you said?
hairline. I don't
Hairline.
have. I've always like my hairline's not receding, but it's just I've always had a horrendous hairline in terms of like I've just got a big forehead. I think. Do you know what I mean? I've never lost hair because I actually look at like pictures of myself from back to like maybe 7-8 years ago, and
the
it's still
same
exactly the
since you
same.
were
Do you know what I
born,
mean? It's not as if I'm just getting older and losing hair. It's just I've never been the one that could have really really short hair. Do you know what I
I've
mean?
been actually really quite lucky. I've always had a good head of hair.
You do. No, 100%. Well, here, thank you so much for coming on our podcast and obviously
It's the first and probably the last podcast.
the first thing to do last if he's anything to do
Let's
with
see
it.
this one goes first.
Exactly.
No,
That's it.
thanks very much for coming on. Do you know what I mean? It's good to obviously speak to you. We know you've got a load of stories. Do you know what I mean? We just kind of want to go back, go over kind of all the different stuff that you've done in your life to get you to where you are today. Because obviously today, right now, we're in your hotel, the Royal Marine. The Royal Marine Hotel. How many rooms is in this hotel?
The main building, 31 bedrooms,
31 bedrooms.
but there's 10 of the lodges, but between bar, restaurants, storeroom, all that kind of stuff, you're just up under 80 rooms.
Yeah, I mean that's unbelievable. That's a massive thing to take on, like an 80-room hotel. And
It's
I
not
mean,
his only hotel.
and it's not obviously the only hotel. We'll get onto that. It's definitely not the only one you've got, but this is the one you're focusing on mostly just now because I mean I guess when you got it, it was pretty.
That was a mess.
Aye,
That was a total mess.
it was a mess.
How long
so
have you had it now?
7 years last October.
Aye. I didn't
7
realise you had it
years.
as long as it.
Aye, 7 years last October. It's came in quick.
Bet it has.
no, it flies by. Absolutely flies by. So I mean, starting off though, let's go back to the very beginning. Ricky, where did you grow up? Was it
Originally Neilston,
Neilston, Glasgow?
next to Barhead.
And you're not an only child, are you?
No, I've got 3 sisters.
You've got 3 sisters. Right.
3
okay.
sisters, yeah.
Okay.
I'm the second oldest.
Ah, right, okay. And then so, what type of upbringing did you have? Like, what in terms of like family? Was it a type of family? Did you were you well off? Were you maybe not so much?
We were a family of where I was brought up in businesses. My father, when I was younger, he basically started off as a milkman,
Right.
a wholesaler, and he invested in land in Girvan.
Jeez, right. So,
That was his first venture after having his milk runs, and he built a caravan park
down in Girvan.
Down in Girvan, called Ardmillan Castle Holiday Park.
Is it still there?
Yes, it is.
Ah, yeah. We done a wee bit of work down in Girvan.
Right.
We probably passed that caravan park.
A77, just about a mile, 2 miles outside Girvan, head towards Dunra, on the left hand side.
So your dad was always kind of a bit of a businessman, quite savvy, smart. Like obviously know what he was doing. So growing up, did that kind of rub off on you and your sisters?
Well, 100%. We ended up having 3 caravan parks.
Right. Wow.
And we still had the milk dairies, and so our season, our summer holidays was working in a caravan park.
Yeah. So it was almost like a family business. Did he used to get you
100%.
involved?
Oh yeah, definitely. We were brought up to work. We weren't. My mum and dad always invested in businesses. Always invested. You know, there wasn't such a thing of where we're going on holiday this year.
Yeah.
Or holiday was going to the caravan park for me to pick the rubbish up on a Sunday morning.
That's it.
You know,
They were
so,
smart with
The
the
holiday
money.
was going to work.
Constantly putting the money into businesses.
Yeah, putting it to use.
Overall, I had a fantastic upbringing.
Yeah.
Again, brought up to work.
Yeah.
And and it's obviously here we are today.
Instilled with kind of like a work ethic. More.
100%. Unfortunately, we lost it all when I was 19.
Right.
My
Geez.
mum and dad lost it all. And basically we had to kind of go back.
The milk run and the caravan parks.
House or our home, everything. I
And
lost it all.
Can I ask why was that? Was it just the
Well, there was a couple of reasons. We owned a couple of beaches. We had a beach at Stranraer, and there was shore erosion. So the Steecat and the Stenolite used to go into Stranraer before they moved it to Cairnine, and there was shore erosion. My dad got hit with a major improvement notice, but at the same time, you know, kind of nerved the banks, and the banks kind of just basically RBS. What can I say?
Yeah. No, it can happen to anyone. You know, it's like
Easy.
always. Sometimes the bigger you get, the harder you fall as well. The more business you maybe sometimes have,
You think the bigger you get, the better it's going to be, but it's
more responsibility.
Oh, it's more everything.
Yeah.
More everything. More pressure, more expenses.
More risk sometimes.
Higher risk. No life.
Yeah.
That's
the
what my
other
dad
factor.
always says.
Trying to get the balance is hard.
Increase your possessions, increase your worries. That's my dad's favourite quote.
That's a good
I think he's
quote.
actually a minimalist now, man.
But it's so
Tries not
right.
to accumulate anything, just like
It's so
stress
right.
free.
Unless you've got a pot of money there,
Yeah.
you know, but that can disappear quick as well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And not a lot of people have that. You know.
No.
Definitely not.
No.
So we'll go back slightly a wee bit again, but like, so what sort of guy were you at school? So in Glasgow, so obviously you
Pull that a wee
were
bit closer, Ricky. That mic a wee bit closer.
I actually struggled at school.
right.
I really struggled. I was actually taken out of school in third year. I was how can I put it? At the time, way back then, dyslexic wasn't really. It was there, but they didn't really address it.
Yeah.
So my English class was in a library. Of it was like 7 of us at the whole year of school. And
So you did manage to get like that's quite good in terms of like a small number. Did they manage to focus on you? Like,
no, what actually happened was I was taken out of school. I ended up, my mum and dad sent me to a dyslexic institute in Hillhead in Glasgow,
Right.
just around the corner, Highland, and I got assessed there, and I was severely dyslexic.
You know something? I feel as if I may have went to the same place. I too was dyslexic, but it took me. I think I must have been in primary school. I can't really remember that well, but I do remember going to somewhere in Glasgow to be assessed. At the time, I didn't know actually that I was being assessed because I was actually quite young. But yeah, it turned out that I was like, I'm maybe not. I don't know if it's severe. I don't know like what it is, but I was definitely dyslexic. You know, 100%. So like, and I think a lot of the times as well, like if you are dyslexic, maybe like. There was probably a bit more support when I was in school, but I guess when you are dyslexic in school and you're not getting help, it's probably quite easy for your mind to wander and start like maybe being like the disruptive.
Well, exactly.
You know,
exactly. Because in the backgrounds, I suppose, is when I was obviously my dad's businesses were there. You know, I used to go back home and come back from school and jump in a van.
Yeah.
Take the van out, do you know what I mean? And I was 11
At what
years
age?
old.
11.
11 years old, and
No way.
you know, teach my mates how to drive at 14.
Really?
You know, but again, because my father had some land there, you know,
You were able to
and then caravan parks. You know, you're talking about, you know, some, you know, it could be 1,000 acres or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Jumping a JCB, jumping a caravan transporter, and
Aye.
you know, aye.
Considering you were in Glasgow, you were obviously like getting land in some pretty nice places. Like, I mean, Girvan must have been like a wee, like, almost a holiday for you, and like Stranraer as well. Obviously, it's a bit further down. It's on the coast, nice beaches and all that sort of stuff. So, what a difference from you obviously being, were you living in Glasgow and running the businesses? Like,
Yeah. Well, what happened was we had a caravan park in Girvan as well called the Tonyard.
Ah, right, okay.
So Girvan was right up until about 12, 13, but then my father bought Tonyard. You know, we were mainly there because it was like 20 minutes for our home.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just basically down the back road from up the moor.
Aye.
So yeah, and obviously we had Girvan dairies, so that's where the milk was as well. We had a dairy in Kilmarnock and stuff, you know. So
Jeez.
aye.
So what was, I'm assuming, like I was going to ask maybe what your first job was really, but I'm assuming it was probably within the family business.
No, actually it wasn't.
Ah, right.
No, it wasn't. I was actually when I came out officially left school. I think it was 15, I think.
You're saying that, like, they kind of like did they direct you out of the school really?
Well,
They were
not
kind
really,
of
no,
more-
because at third year I actually was taken out of school and I went to a Dyslexia Institute and I was there 2 hours a week, and it was a 2-to-1 basis.
Did it help you?
100%. 100%. I didn't even know my alphabet at 13.
Really?
Aye.
What sort of things were you doing at the dyslexic place?
Basically, it was like one-to-one, learning my vowels and things like that there, and memory retention was my problem.
Right, okay.
Concentrating, I struggle to read and write. I've certainly improved, but at the same time, you know, I still struggle, like anybody else, you know. Just
Yeah.
I actually ended up going to a library when I was 19, trying to sit my 4th year exams.
Really?
Aye. And actually, there was actually 2 people. It was voluntary, really lovely. I can't remember their names because it's such a long time ago. They were voluntary and they took their time out for me. And I was a father then. You know, I had my boy Dylan, so I just try to. You look back and go, I wish I was still at school.
Yeah.
Or when you were at school, you just wanted to get out.
You don't
It's-
realise how
what I mean?
good school is until you look back, do you?
I
You
feel
don't
like
appreciate it. You
big
really
time.
don't. You know.
I genuinely feel like an old man saying that nowadays. Like, obviously by saying, like, see, obviously when you're growing up and you're in school, everyone says these are the best days of your
100%.
life.
You don't,
You just don't see it.
You don't see it,
you
and
just
now I'm
don't see it.
generally telling like my nephews and nieces and stuff. You honestly love that. You're like your problems that you're finding that you've got at school are not problems.
No,
That
not at all.
a girlfriend
No.
that you had for the day is maybe split up with you.
Or
Do
what
you know
kind
what I
of
mean?
phone you've got? Well, back then you didn't have a phone, it was a pair of trainers. Or
Exactly.
what kind of BMX did you have?
And you're like, wait until you're in the real world and actually have some
Aye.
problems, you know. So I do find myself, I've found myself saying that so many times now to like nephews and nieces and stuff. Like, these are the best days. And it
Just
doesn't make you
enjoy
feel
it. Don't-
ancient, doesn't it?
like,
But
obviously, it's probably frowned upon to say it, but don't take it too seriously because, like, if you've got a good work ethic, you can make anything work.
I believe in that,
Do you know
yeah.
what I mean?
It's all about.
I think we can all vouch for
It's
that.
all about believing
100%.
in yourself. I believe in that. It's all about believing in yourself,
Yeah.
and having commitment.
yeah,
You've got to be committed
Yeah.
for whatever you decide.
100%.
If you don't have that, what's the point?
yeah,
You know.
1,000,000%.
And at the end of the day, you know, no matter anybody that's been in business or whatever, it's going to be it's commitment.
Yeah, that's
It really
it.
is commitment.
So you went back to do your exams. Obviously, at the age of 19, you've obviously had your son Dylan. What made you want to go back to do your exams? Was it just to kind of prove that you could do it, or was it?
No, because I learned maybe a bit about myself of where you actually, when you started, obviously commitment, you know, become a father, you start to think different, you start to think of your responsibilities. And when, obviously, I knew I had struggles within myself, you know, so I wanted to improve that.
No, brilliant. Now, how did you get on?
Aye.
Yeah.
Well, I started.
Got
My own,
there.
I started my own
Aye.
business. I started my own business at the same time. I started my own milk business.
Yeah.
At the same time, so I was struggling with that. With obviously having a new family, and basically trying to go there and try to. But again, it's about concentration.
Yeah.
You know, it's again balance.
Yeah. And did obviously having your first child kind of light a fire under your arse to want to go and obviously I was just about to say, like, obviously start your own business as well. So was that kind of like to?
Well, at the same time, when Dylan was born, my father was in the middle of bankruptcy.
Jeez.
So we within that year of my son being born, we were in the middle of losing everything that I knew, shall we say.
Pretty stressful time. I can imagine.
It was a stressful time. Unfortunately, we lost the family home through a fire.
And was this all going around at the same time as you were going bankrupt, and then you had a fire?
All the same time. Because the bank was the bank was actually taking the house, all the houses basically. But yeah.
How did that affect you as a family? Did it like bring you closer together? As like
it was yeah, but devastating. Devastating. But at the same time, you know, obviously, me and my partner moved to Glasgow. My sisters obviously dispersed as well within their own, because they're all the same. They were all kind of a year apart, and obviously went and got their own lives. You know, as soon as you hit 18, 19, do you know what I mean? And my youngest sister wants to stay with my mum, so it's just one of the ones.
Sometimes, like, going through stuff like that can either pull you together or pull you apart.
We've actually always been a close family. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, really like any family, ups and downs, blah blah blah. Of course, do you know what I mean? It's not a family shit, you know.
Exactly.
But no, we are a close family.
Yeah,
a very close family. We've been through a lot. We have been, but you know, I'm sure a lot of families have as well. So.
Yeah, of course. But so your first business you started yourself was the milk run. Yep.
Well, you were saying to me about my first job.
Yes.
Right. My first job was actually in a place called Great Mills in Paisley. Right. It was like a B&Q bit of DIY. It was a YTS, $29.50 a week.
Right, that's what you were getting
paid. That's what I was 16.
Jeez.
And
you still staying at home at this point?
I was, yeah.
Yeah.
I was staying with my mum and dad at the time, and obviously they still had the businesses, but my mum wanted me to go out and do something different.
Wait, was this that your first job?
16, aye. $29.50 a week. What's that? 53p an hour or something?
What was that back then though?
Was it?
That's a long time ago.
I'll give you that one, right? That's
how long ago are we talking, Ricky?
I was 16, I'm 46, so 30 years ago. So 30 years ago.
Was that good money back then though?
No,
like $29.50?
No.
I don't think $29.50 is ever decent.
Nowadays?
What they get nowadays, £78.
Maybe 100 years ago it was good money.
70, £80 equivalent to now.
Next to nothing, isn't it?
It's nothing. Do you know what I mean? It's nothing.
But did it...
3 weeks to save up for a pair of Nike trainers.
Exactly.
Yeah, but obviously going through school and kind of maybe struggling in the way you did it feel better to get out? Were you quite happy to be out of school now into the world?
Believe it or not, as soon as I hit 17, I wanted to be back at school.
Right.
Because then I knew, one, I noticed girls. Two,
and we're better, obviously, when you're in school amongst your peers and all that sort of stuff. You're with all your
older,
friends.
Maturer, you know what I mean? You're kind of coming at that boyish.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You're realising, you know, I've got to stand on 2 feet here.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, but no, at the same time, you know, education, it was a big hit for me.
Yeah.
You know, learning.
You kind of get the bug for that after you'd left.
Oh, 100%. Aye, definitely. At the end of the day, when I was at school, I was just up to mischief.
Aye. The same as most of us, to be honest.
Aye.
Exactly. You do take it for granted.
You do. Here. That's what being a boy is, though. It's, you know.
Yeah.
Aye.
So, how long were you in your first job? How long did you manage to stick that?
About 7 months.
7 months? Right,
Aye.
okay. When you're younger as well, 7 months sometimes feels pretty long.
Seven
You can almost
months.
be years, you know. And then, so did you jump from job to job, or was it after that you started?
Then what happened was I went worked for my dad at the caravan park, and I started doing that. Obviously I was 50. He took over the milk dairy. Again, even when I was working for Great Mills, I was still helping my parents.
Nights and weekends.
Aye, of course, as you do.
Well, it's a family business, and you do normally get roped into.
Of course.
You know.
So, but then obviously I passed my test, and my dad bought me a van, and I basically had a milk run.
So your first car was a van?
A van? Well, not really, no, because I bought myself. I had a couple of cars before of my licence.
Right, okay. Yeah. So you started your milk run, and is this in Glasgow you started your milk run?
Yes.
And I can imagine like a milk run takes.
How do you get into something like that? Like, where do you actually start? Like,
Well,
what's the first step in becoming like a milkman?
well, the thing is that with that, it was already kind of it was kind of established, right? But then we lost it all, so then we started back up again. Then it became a different story. Do you know what I mean? It became it was hard.
Harder to get back into.
Well, harder to get a supply.
Right,
Of
okay.
where before we had our own supply, we used to process it and pack it ourselves. But when we lost all of that, when we lost the factories, we lost, you know,
Yeah.
and then obviously within the dairy game itself was monopolised or getting monopolised
By just a certain couple of bigger companies.
Well, Wiseman were buying everybody out at the time.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Way back in the 90s, I bought out Kennerty's, I bought out Co-op. You know, as my father lost everything, or my parents lost everything, you know, Scottish farmers, Scottish Pride, went bankrupt, and Wiseman stepped in there, and so a lot of things were getting monopolised,
Yeah.
and the supply was getting less.
Less and less.
You know, so yeah, it was hard at
Yeah.
the time. Yeah.
And so how did you tackle, obviously, starting your business? Like, is it literally starting from the ground up where you need to go out to shops and literally just ask?
Door to door
Is
type
it door to door type?
It was wholesale.
Right, okay.
So it wasn't door to door. We did do both as I was growing up, but it was mainly wholesale. So it'd be like a corner shops, restaurants, garages, snack bars, blah blah blah.
What was your sales pitch?
My sales pitch.
Give us your
I was about to say,
give
were you a
your
salesman?
best
Right,
pitch.
do you want to buy any milk?
Simple. Simple.
As easy as that.
No, no. I wish it was. I've seen myself canvas shops for nearly 10 years before they say yes to me.
Really? Is it because they've got another supplier and it's...
A lot of it, well, you're playing with people's livelihoods. Do you know what I mean? You know, so you've got a corner shop, that's their livelihood. That's
Yeah.
their bread and butter, right? So your three main things that people go to a shop for is going to be newspaper, bread and milk. Do you know what I mean? So, and it's a lot of it's all about price, product and service.
Yeah.
But when you've got a 19-year-old boy, new face, what off from somebody of the world, you know,
They need to be able to trust you.
well, they especially they don't know you.
Yeah.
You could be here today and gone tomorrow.
Yep.
And that was a lot of where it took me a long time to get established and to show them, well, I'm not gone tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm still here.
And back then, obviously, you obviously had an established business to begin with. You came back to nothing, starting again. It became quite a competitive market.
Very much so. Very much so.
Obviously, you're canvassing certain like shops. Is there other companies literally doing the exact same thing? Is it quite a...
Well, way back there, yeah. They were... everything was, again, it was prices crashed.
Everyone
time.
undercutting each other as well.
Everybody was cutting it. It was a penny game. And then you had your big companies, you know. It was at the time, it was really down to who had the big pockets.
Yeah.
Who had the biggest pockets,
Who
really.
could afford to go
Well,
lower?
the thing is, you were flinging in 2 double fridges. You were putting in a cost price. You were giving them a week's free milk.
Yeah.
You know, that was my competition that was doing that to me.
So the only person really
You
benefiting
can't,
there
really,
is...
you can't really compete
Is
with the big
it's a
boys,
shop.
No,
can
you
you?
couldn't. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, again, it was perseverance, and
Yeah.
it took years.
Just consistently going back to the same shops, trying to like...
Well, the thing is that I can honestly say, no matter where you drive in Glasgow, there's one shop I haven't canvassed or I haven't delivered.
Really?
how
And
so?
that there-
Why, how so?
Because it's just, well, it's nature of the game. If you know, if it's like I used to park.
You needed...
Well, you had to, because if you've got a shop sitting at a Gale Street, right, you've got a vehicle passing every other shop, but you're delivering that one. So why not? So
Yeah.
you could have done the Indian restaurant, it could get delivered twice a week. You could have done the snack bar, it opens 5 days a week. You could have done the corner shop, it opens 7 days a week. You could have done the nursing home, it's just around the corner. You know, they all need milk. Everybody needs milk or dairy products.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So how long did it take you to establish that business and make it... I mean, how, like, at its height, how big did you manage to make that milk run?
I would say when at the peak, I had 18 vehicles.
Wow.
When we sold it, we had 12.
Right, okay.
That was
Okay.
we sold it in 2010.
2010, right, okay. Yeah.
2010.
And then how many different shops were you delivering to at that
All
point?
right,
as well?
on but 1,200 a day,
1,200 a day.
give or take, on a 5-day week.
So
Six-
that's a big run.
Oh no, that was 18 runs.
Yeah.
Well, at the end up it was 12 runs.
I mean, you've then established yourself as a pretty big business. Milk run in
We
Glasgow.
were the biggest distributor in Scotland at the time, not processor, distributor.
Wow. And then I'm assuming with that, like, I've kind of always assumed that kind of in Glasgow, when you kind of create a business like that, especially milk or things like the sweet vans, rolls, it inherently attracts, I don't know how to say it
It's almost
sometimes.
as like
it
is
can
it,
sometimes-
is it a cutthroat industry? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, totally. Oh, totally. Because at the end of the day, you know, you have a customer, right? It's a floating asset.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know, you don't know if you have it tomorrow. You know?
Yeah.
So somebody can come and say, I'm sorry, but you're letting down in service, or your product's going off,
Yeah.
or well, they give me at 10p cheaper. You know, so it's all about, you know, a lot of people will drop you out there for a penny.
Yes. No, we know that too well.
Did you have any run-ins with anyone
Loads.
in the industry?
I'll give you an idea. Drake Meyer Dairy, shall we say, right?
Okay.
John Edmonds, bully, total bully, 6 foot, 6'6", whatever he is, but like an ox. But he attacked me. The first time he attacked me was Easterhouse, Wardy Road and Easterhouse.
Well, you were delivering.
I took one of his shops, and
Right.
I was in a vehicle with him having a meeting, and he punched and basically sat about me in his vehicle.
Really?
Right.
Jeez.
The second
Just
time,
for taking a shop, like one single
it's
shop.
basically trying to intimidate me.
Yeah.
So
And I guess a lot of people that probably would deter them, and it would
Oh,
put them
aye.
off, and maybe
Oh,
they would just
totally.
stop altogether.
Oh, totally.
But I'm guessing
Oh, no,
for
it's-
you to have managed to get to 18 vehicles.
Oh no, that was that was even before that started.
Yeah.
That happened. That was when I was 17. That happened.
Jeez.
The second time it happened, I was 19, and he was actually Broomley Street in Paisley, and him and his brother-in-law were sitting outside a shop with baseball bats, and smashed the van up with a baseball bat
While you were in the shop?
when I was standing there. Aye.
Aye.
I mean, what goes through your mind like when you're kind of going having that?
Eh,
I mean, had you seen a lot of this sort of stuff before?
no.
No.
Well, my father had issues.
With
My
them?
father had issues with them as I was growing up, but obviously I was too young to really see it. They were trying to protect me by saying it.
Yeah.
But again, it's just, you know, they done it to everybody. It wasn't just us. Whoever took a shop or whatever, it's just how it worked.
Yeah.
Again, it's not what a lot of the dairy companies out there done, because it's not business. It's more of intimidation, but that's just how they worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And they were probably in the hopes that it would put a lot of people off. You know,
Oh,
and
here
it would
again,
stop.
I'm sure my dad would get punched a few times off him, outside shops, you know, or whatever.
And was it mostly just the one business that was doing it, the most intimidation? Was it, or is it a lot of companies that were kind of doing that?
No. It was mainly just the kind of one, and then obviously as other people over the years came in, you know, a lot of people kind of deal with it in different ways.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's all business.
Yeah.
And it's like anything. It's like you could do it at that garage and then go into Sam Bank garage. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, it is what it is.
It's
you know?
business, yeah.
Of course it is.
And so, how did you end up getting out of the milk game?
Well, what actually happened was 2010, we decided to sell up. When the crash happened in 2008, we had a lot of companies, restaurants, because we've done hundreds of restaurants, were going bust on us.
Right.
And they owed us a lot of money, because usually when it comes to restaurants, these people were owing us like 30 days, 60 days, 90 days money.
Yeah.
And if like you're Italian restaurants, they could be £1,000 a week order. You know, so a lot of these companies were going bust. Opening, they were still open, but a different company name.
Yeah.
But you were losing all that money.
Changing
so,
one letter in their name. And
well, yeah, but at the same time, they were also prices were crashing, because at the time, Wiseman were not allowed to actually buy any more processors in the UK. So what they done was they crashed the prices to put processors out by making them bleed. by crashing the market.
So they were quite influential in terms of how the market can go. Were they the biggest at the time?
100%. They controlled it. They were growing. They were just getting bigger because they were growing big down south.
Right.
They were expanding massively.
And that made it a lot harder for the more kind of like smaller to medium businesses.
Well, everything was getting diverted to key symbols, key groups, supermarkets. Do you know what I mean? You know, it's like you've got your Tesco Expresses, your Sainsbury's, you've got your Premier Inns, you've got your key stores. Do you know what I mean? So everything was becoming symbol groups.
Yeah.
You go back to 80s, 90s, or late 90s. Do you know what I mean? Your supermarkets kind of started to come up. Do you know what I mean? You didn't have a Lidl and Aldi back then.
Yeah.
Right? Iceland weren't selling milk. You know, farm foods weren't really selling milk. They all kind of get introduced. But then what they done was is that, you know, you buy a jug of milk for £1 or two for £1.50. So your corner shop has got to sell for 75p.
Yeah.
Or you're charging them 90. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to reduce it to 75, right? Or less. And you're not making anything.
So did you manage to get out at a good time though? Did you manage to sell?
It was the right time to get out. It was the right time to get out.
And was it one of the bigger companies that ended up buying you?
Graham's Dairy bought us over.
Graham's? Right,
Yeah,
okay,
Dairy bought
aye.
us over,
Jeez. Aye, that's still a big company to...
Yeah, well,
today.
they're the biggest independent company in Scotland.
So you managed to get out the milk, obviously make a bit of money from that, because, I mean, you still had 12 vans, big run. Is that when you got into hotels?
No. We bought the first hotel 2008,
Right.
which was a Talbot Hotel.
When you say we, was it you and your dad?
The family.
The
Aye,
full family, right, okay.
And this was after, obviously, you went bankrupt, and this was kind of...
Oh, we went bankrupt way back 97,
97.
97, something like 98, something like that.
And it was always the idea to try and get back into...
Basically, it wasn't the fact of being in business. It was about basically
Just
having an income and knowing, you know, doing what we know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Try to get back to having some sort of, you know, we weren't you know, had a lot of property. You know, you could say we're millionaires on paper.
Yeah.
But, you know, we were working 24/7. We were just trying to
I think when
build a
you've-
life like anybody else.
I think when you've done that for so long as well, you've really just relied on yourself, not had to rely on someone else in terms of getting jobs. You know, I don't think you probably could have went back to just... When all that happened, I don't think you could have just went, we'll just go and get jobs now. Do you know what I mean? You've probably
Looking
had
back,
it in
I
these...
think it'd have been an easier option. Aye.
No,
You probably regret it though, like now. Looking back, you probably regret just relying on somebody else rather than your own two hands.
Well, the thing is that when the first time I ever really worked for somebody out with that YTS job was when we sold it to Graham's, and I was the only person that was contracted to Graham's for a year.
Okay, so you were kind of in the transition period.
Yes, right,
You were still running.
Yeah,
doing the running.
I was put in there as an accounts manager to run and safeguard the business that we sold them. But as we obviously that was put in place, it was all broken up into sections, like your restaurants was going to one side and your corner shops was going to another.
It just got put into the big machine, which was Graham's.
Basically, yep. And then next minute I'm sitting round a table with all these guys that was telling me for the last 15 years I got to put me out of business.
Really? So Graham's was one of these people that were your massive competition?
100%. Aye, definitely. And I'm sitting with all these reps that they were basically telling me that, you know, that I had competition with for 15 years.
Yeah, that must be quite awkward.
Well, it's the first time I ever had a knife in my back. As being an employee.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know.
They were kind of
time.
out to get you.
Oh, no matter what. I wasn't allowed to touch a computer. My phone was tapped.
Really?
Oh, totally.
What were they so paranoid about? Just you seeing any of their sort of inner workings, just in case you started another business, or?
I wasn't allowed to go into Glasgow within 5 years. I wasn't allowed to go near a shop within 50-mile radius of Glasgow for 5 years.
Why?
Because I've just sold my company to them, and they're not going to pay me money.
Did that go through court? Like you?
I know it's legally bounded.
Is it right?
Legal contract.
Legally, aye.
And so you weren't allowed, like they were, I guess what they were paranoid about was you were selling your business to them, but they probably knew how easy you could start up another milk run, you know, and you had these relationships with, you know, so that's what they were paranoid about. So yeah, no, that's mad. You don't sometimes think about really...
You don't actually, nah.
How these big milk companies and things have actually got to where they are today.
But it's like it's going to be like any business. Do you know what I mean? It'd be like an insurance broker, or if somebody sold out to an insurance company, they're not going to open back up tomorrow and then you know, and go and take all the customers tomorrow, because that's what I'm saying. They're just floating at.
Yeah.
You know, they're a customer, but they're also a floating asset.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So after you finally got out of that, you'd done the year with Graham's. Did you then come and join your family in terms of doing the hotels?
Well, we actually, the same month we sold the dairy company, we actually bought the Stag Hotel in Lagilped, which was shut down.
Right.
And that was in October 2011. No, sorry, October 2010. And it took about a year to rebuild that.
Did you need like renovation and things like that?
Yeah, I was part of it, but I wasn't part of it because I was on the other side. It was also the kind of I was obviously working for Graham's, but obviously I was still staying in Renfrew at the time, and I actually had more chance of spending time with my family.
Yeah, so by this
First
point,
time I actually had a life, to be fair.
yeah, because you just had your head down, arse up, really. For
Well, the thing is that, you know, because I was working 7 days a week, 7 nights, you know, in my own business, and then as soon as I went to Graham's, you know, I've got a company car, I was getting a set wage every month.
you can almost get used to that.
Oh, here.
Get comfortable quickly, man.
I didn't know what to do at weekends. I struggled. It took me about a year to actually digest and you know, find a balance, because all I knew was, right, I've got 3 vehicles out on a Sunday, I've got 12 vehicles out on a Saturday, you know, I've got to think of night shift Sunday morning for Monday morning, you know, and suddenly I've got a weekend, and what do I do?
Yeah, well, that's what they say, don't you? When,
What do I do?
when you've got your own business, there's not enough hours in the day. Do you know what I
No.
mean? And you are working 7 days a week. So it must be hard, obviously, when Graham's was paying you. You definitely weren't going to do an hour over what they were paying you, I'm assuming, because... Do you know what I mean?
I was a salary,
So it was just like, you've got your weekends off, you've got your nights off. It's like, it must take a wee bit of transitioning in.
Yeah.
And by this time, how many more kids had you had?
I've only got 3 kids.
Right, so you only had 3, but by that point, obviously, when you sold your, had you had all 3 at that point?
Yep. 2011, so my twins just started high school.
Right.
And my boy, Dylan, he was just leaving school.
Right.
So.
And were they kind of like, have they kind of grown up the same way you grew up? Did they kind of know, did they sometimes work for the family business? Would they have sometimes been in the like with you doing the milk and
100%.
things like that? Yeah.
Every weekend, sometimes nights. My wife, she obviously she ran the office. She done all the kind of accounts, and you know, she could be collecting money. Kids be, you know, run kids back for school and then go collect more money.
Yeah.
You know, so the kids were brought up in it.
Yeah.
You know,
kinda-
100%. Same as myself. You know.
It is. It's good to be involved. I think, you know, it's like, I think a thing that's underrated in life is like just like life skills as well. Obviously, you can go to school, you can be really, really smart, you can get the best of grades and stuff, but see this like communication, you know, like life skills, being able to communicate with people, like business savvy, that type of thing.
being
It's
practical.
I can honestly say my 3 kids have got it.
Yeah.
I totally got it. They're very, you know, they sell. They know how to sell.
Yeah.
They are.
You've got the gift of the gander.
Oh,
really.
totally, 100%. Do you know what I mean?
You've taught them well.
Aye. Here, I think it's just how you're out there doing your thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You're out there doing your thing and you're watching
You've
it,
seen
listening to it. Same as myself.
Rubs off.
Do you know what I mean? Of course it does. And they are there today, and I'm so proud of them. Really, really are.
Confidence is a big thing, you know.
Massive. Do you know what I mean?
So we're at the point now where you and your family have how many hotels? Is it 5, 6? 6 hotels. So how did that begin again? So your mum and dad obviously had started buying some hotels again.
No, we actually all bought one. We were still had a dairy, but we knew
that it was on its way out.
it was changing. We
Yeah.
knew we had to do something.
Put your money
And it
elsewhere.
was changing. And we bought the Talbot Hotel, which was a broken down hotel, run down. And we got that. My mum was actually a manager of Holland and Barrett in Kilmarnock.
Ah, right.
And obviously she stepped in and says, right, I will start running this. You know?
She's got the experience, you know. And
Excuse me. Yeah. Well, yes and no. Do you know what I mean?
Same with any business, you kind of need to
Of
make
course.
it up. You wing it to begin with, don't you?
Of course you do.
Completely.
Of course you do. But she stepped in and stepped up, and she ran the Talbot Hotel right up until last year. No,
Wow.
2019.
So you've still got that. The very first one you bought, you've still got.
Still got it, yeah.
How did you progress into like multiple hotels? Because I'd imagine just even one hotel is a massive responsibility. So how did you snowball into end up with like 6 hotels?
I think my father needs to ask that one.
Did he just?
Maybe need to get him on.
Yeah. He sounds like he
I'll
loves.
be interviewing him, by the way.
He sounds like he loves.
Every
100%.
101 questions.
He sounds like he loves the hustle. So he does.
He is a hustler, 100%. Yep, but that's what keeps him going.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's going on 75 this year. You
Yeah.
know, and trust me, he's the hardest worker I know.
Is he still out grafting? Is he?
Oh, night and day. My dad
No
wouldn't
way.
hesitate to doing 18 hours a day.
Seriously?
Really?
Oh, honestly,
Wow.
100%.
So it kept him young.
Oh, honestly, he's hard work.
I think you look really young.
Oh,
like,
thanks.
And is your dad the same? I've never met your dad, but
I'm supposed to take after my mum's side.
that sounds like a jab to your dad there.
Yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't listen to this.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So
Do
we're
you,
all
sorry,
go-
do you enjoy obviously running these hotels? Like, do you actually wake up in the morning looking forward to doing what you do?
I do, but I also have my moments like anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Yes, it gets to you. I love meeting new people. I've learned it's like anything, you learn a lot about yourself. You learn your own ability. You feel that you can. So there's been occasions of where you can surprise yourself, or where you look back and go, "Wow, did that just actually happen? Or did that happen?" You know, it's all about. To me, it's all about the customer and making their. Because at the end of the day, these people work hard.
Yeah.
They get away for the weekend. You
Yeah.
know, it's all about them. You know, at the end of the day, you want them to come back. But again, you know, the way we are living nowadays, everybody wants everything for nothing. They want all the best. You know, they want the Hiltons. You know, but this is certainly not a Hilton. You know,
Well,
this is a Tudor. So
we're in the
It's-
Royal Marine just now. You know, it's a beautiful building, absolutely beautiful building. How long have you had this place now?
7 years last October.
7 years. And what type of condition was this in when you took it over? Had it been closed for a while?
No, it was never closed. No.
Never closed.
No, it wasn't closed. It was in a terrible state. It was a really bad state.
So you came into this knowing that this is going to be, like, I mean, with 80 odd rooms, you just knew this was going to be a massive project. You had your eyes open knowing, okay, I need to...
No, my eyes went, I was naive.
Why
I was definitely
why
naive.
did you go for something so big?
Go big or go home.
It's like,
to
it's got
be
to be
fair-
the biggest hotel in Dunoon, surely.
To be fair, no, it's not. I think it's the third or the fourth biggest.
Seriously?
We do have
I
a
think-
lot of hotels in Dunoon.
suppose that's
well,
right,
the
aye.
thing I think Glenmorag, I
That's a
think
big
it's a
one, aye.
Selborne.
Glenmoran's big.
I think it's Glenmorag, the Selborne, the Esplanade, then this one.
Right.
But again, this is the kind of there's only 2 of these hotels in Scotland of this type of buildings.
The sandstone build.
No,
with
just
the-
the Tudor.
Right, okay.
Just the Tudor. There's loads of sandstone builds, but it's the actual look of it
Yeah.
and the structure of it. There's this one, and there's a Royal Marine in Troon of this type of building.
So you came into this not really knowing just how big of a...
To be
job.
fair, I looking back, I definitely was naive. Of course, no matter what I was doing it anyway, but I made a lot of mistakes, like we all do. But it was mainly the building itself.
So has
It
this
wasn't
been...
running the building; it was the building itself. Because every hotel, you can walk into any hotel, but every hotel runs differently.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Every shop runs differently, every whatever. This one's definitely it was, but the problem was the issues that we came across due to the building itself of dilapidation.
Right, yeah. So obviously all the hotels you've had before, this did come with different challenges. that
Every hotel came with
yous-
different challenges. Every hotel we bought was run down,
Right.
apart from one.
So over the last 7 years, how's this changed, and how have you changed?
How this has changed.
How's the building? Well, the building you can already see. Like, we always see you almost on a daily basis out on that
There's
big
always
cherry
something,
picker.
ain't there, man?
like
all
either
about the-
painting the outside, redoing the sandstone, repointing,
Sandblasting the walls.
like sandblasting the walls. There's been a massive change outside completely. I mean, it's stunning. It's a stunning building, you know, and you're always working. You know, just from your perspective, what is the biggest changes that you've kind of you think you've made in the last like 7 years? Like,
I've made loads.
I've
Made loads.
Yeah.
We had major problems with the planning office. I wasn't allowed to paint it.
A different colour?
No, just I wasn't
Paint
allowed-
it in general?
Just paint it in general. They wanted me to. I had to apply to paint it.
Right, okay, jeez.
There was a lot of red tape. Still is a lot of red tape. But again, we've given leaps and bounds. The whole front of the hotel has totally had a facelift. And that was the third time of where mainly the second time that we done it. The first time was really kind of getting to learn, like, where's the issues, because when you're looking on the ground looking up, you can't see.
Yeah.
So once you get the cherry picker and you start to really go round a bit, you know, it's a big building, so you go round the building and you start to see, right, there. You're inside the building and go, right, there's dampness coming through there, right, it's got a bit of water permutation there, whatever else. So you got to kind of, you know, look at the whole thing and then go over it again.
Yeah.
So in August 2019, we started something, and unfortunately some of the guys we had and what I was told was getting done and what was getting done was two different things.
Right.
So, and I was too busy inside working, trying to make the money to pay for it.
You thought you could rely on the people that you were employing or paying to do a job.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you know, all they were doing, we were just going over the same old stuff. And I didn't sign up for that.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't sign up for that.
So it's like the Fourth Road Bridge. Sometimes when you get
course it
something
is.
so big, you
course it is.
finish
And plus,
painting the whole thing and go back to square one.
And I believe in, if I cut a corner, all that's going to happen is my kids are going to pick it up.
Yeah.
They're going to pick the pieces
They're going
up.
to inherit
So exactly, and I don't see the purpose in that.
Yeah.
You know, at least then if it takes me an extra year or it takes me, because you know yourself, guys, is you can strip something, and just because you're stripping that one thing doesn't mean there's another 10 things behind it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm sure everybody's experienced that.
Completely.
You know, but you haven't gauged for, you haven't projected for, blah blah blah, and it can knock the whole job on.
Yeah.
It can knock. You can take your whole. You know, you have to maybe move on to the next job because you know, something's come up and you can't go to it or whatever, you know.
Even financially as well, sometimes, you know,
100%.
it's like this is a massive hotel, you know, that must come with quite a massive financial strain as well.
Oh, totally, aye. Aye, a lot of pressure.
Have you found over the last 7 years with like maybe Airbnb and all that now being introduced, where people are actually just sometimes creating a room in their house? Have you finding that's completely changed your business as well? If you had to adjust massively to that?
Totally. People think that I've got the best location in Doon. I've actually got the worst.
Right. Obviously, in terms of location, this hotel is as you come off of a ferry that brings you to Dunoon. So that's how what people probably think is why it's such a good location.
Yes.
People come off the car ferry, which is the busiest ferry for Dunoon, and this hotel is just right in front of you, like stunning.
The first time you see it.
So that's just to set so people that haven't maybe been to Dunoon, they kind of now know the location.
Pop some pictures up.
We'll pop some pictures up. Yeah.
Well, it is the worst location because what you've just said is 100% right. But Google Maps changed a lot of that. When you come off that boat, the people know exactly where they're going.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They'll go, look at that. Or where way back in the day, you'll go to your phone box or you'll stand and go, oh, there's a hotel, let's go and ask them.
Yeah.
Right?
Technology's changed.
You know, totally. Booking.com, blah, blah. You know, there's no such thing of where we'll go on the internet. All you do is basically go on booking.com, or where before it was pick up Yellow Pages.
Yeah.
You know, so it's different days. Airbnb has major impact holiday lets, especially when it comes to contractors.
Right.
Because, you know, you can have, say, 10 guys working in a contract for 3 months, right? So that's 10 rooms, or it could be 5 rooms or 5 twin rooms, which at 75 quid a night, bed and breakfast. Then you've got their dinners, 90 quid, whatever it is per person, whatever it is, of where it becomes thousands of pounds a week.
Yeah.
Of where you can go down to a holiday let and get a holiday let that sleeps 10 for 600 quid.
Yeah.
You know? So it's one of the ones.
How have you adjusted to that? Have you had to adjust your
I've totally have got to, aye.
strategies?
Yeah, and I've got to do the same thing.
Yeah.
I've got to do the same thing. At the end of the day, you know, everybody's fighting just now.
Yeah.
Everybody's fighting, especially in this pandemic. Everybody's fighting, and it's all about survival.
Yeah.
It's all about keeping your head above water.
No, definitely. Like so obviously we've spoke a lot about your work. You obviously do work a lot. You know, you do work a lot, but have you found that kind of balance now in terms of life? Do you manage to get a wee bit of time off? You know, obviously, like you were saying, when you had that year with Graham's, you adjusted back to maybe having a wee weekend here, you know, some nights off. Do you still manage to do that?
No.
You are probably one of the hardest workers I've ever known. You know, and seeing you, like, you do work 24/7, but like, how is your life now in terms of, is it just 24/7 work, or what do you enjoy doing with some time off?
What do I enjoy doing with my time off?
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to know the answer to that question.
I don't have any time off to enjoy it. Right now, I have.
It's been too long.
To be fair, it has been too long, but unfortunately, this pandemic, I've been working 24/7 because we have been.
Just try to keep your head above water.
Well, we've been working hand in hand with all the local authorities when it comes to the homeless, mental health, police, blah blah blah. So it has been 24/7 of where you're on call no matter what. Because for instance, Friday night, 11 o'clock at night, you know, I've had phone calls at 3 o'clock in the morning. I've got to go and pick somebody up in wherever. It could be Helens, but it could be.
And you're providing a room?
We provide everything, yeah, and transport as well.
Wow. So yeah, it's really diversifying your business.
You just go with the punches, you know. You've got to.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, you've got to.
Obviously, we've touched on a lot of the bad things about having a hotel. Like,
Yes.
it sounds very negative having a hotel, but what are the good sides of having a hotel as well?
Yeah.
Is there any positives, obviously?
Oh, loads of positives. Loads of positives. You meet so many good people.
Yeah.
You really, really do. Yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. You can't please everybody.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? No matter what, but you meet so many good people. I've met so many. I've actually have a lot of good friends.
Just through them coming to stay?
Through the hotel, yeah. There's a lot of positive. A lot of positive.
Yeah. It's hard to probably remember the positives when you went through this whole pandemic. It's like your main focus is just like surviving right now.
Shifted.
But at a point you were thriving in here, do you know what I mean? And that's probably when you enjoyed it the most. So obviously there is positives to having a hotel.
Oh, no, of course there is. Of course, it's like anything, you know, you wouldn't do it if you didn't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You've got to be happy. Again, it's like anything else. You have your moments. You're going to have your good days. You're going to have your bad days. I've learned of where if you have got somebody complaining, you'll do whatever you can
to make it right. Yeah.
But you've got people out there, you no matter what you do, no matter what you say, will never make it right.
Yeah.
So, and all they want is something for nothing.
They're trying to take the piss. Impossible to please.
Well, but at the same time, then that stands out. And that's when you then come in and go, well, look, I've offered you this. You're not accepting it. I'm trying to do what I can. And that's where you draw the line of where then you just come and say, well, I'm sorry, I'm not accepting that.
Yeah. And in this day and age...
And I strongly believe in of where... You're getting bad energy off of somebody.
Yeah.
They're dragging you down. They're ruining your day. That's a knock-on effect to everybody. And trust me, I've been there. I've had it happen to me.
Yeah.
And it's a knock-on effect to your staff because you're affected. They're affected.
Yeah. 100%.
Do you know what I mean? And
it also goes the other direction as well.
100.
Sometimes if someone just comes in and get like, you do pick up on energies. If someone just comes in and is actually nice, appreciates maybe what you're providing,
100%.
It does the exact opposite.
100%. And that's where now what I do is that I try not to give people bad energy.
Yeah.
Or even accept their bad energy because, you know, it just drops the whole what's the right word?
Morale.
With it all. And,
Yeah.
and it can ruin your whole day. It can ruin your night, which means that it's ruining somebody else, a customer's or whoever. You know, you take it home with you. It's try again, it's the balance, try to not take it home with you, which is easier said than done.
Yeah, 100%. Would you recommend, if someone was actually thinking, obviously, buying a hotel, would you still recommend doing it even in this, obviously, pandemic maybe aside?
Pandemic aside, because this is going to end.
Pandemic aside,
definitely.
Would you recommend it as a career path investment?
Yes, but it's down to what size of hotel,
Right. Okay.
right?
Okay.
100%. You know.
Are you thinking smaller? Which is smaller better
Well,
or bigger?
you know, you can have a big hotel in Dunoon, right?
Yep.
But it's about filling your rooms.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You're not filling your rooms.
A lot of it is it location. A lot of the things you need to have
it's
the
location.
tourists.
Well, let's say there's 41 bedrooms, right?
Yep.
That's 15,000 rooms a year.
Yeah.
How do you sell 15,000 rooms a year?
Yeah. You need to be pretty busy.
But
When you
think
break
about
that down to like, there's only like how many is that a night?
That's
when
what
you
I'm
think
saying,
about
but you've got to do that over 52 weeks a year. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You've got to service that.
Yeah.
You know, so, and it's, do you have that in Dunoon? Are you going to have that in Dunoon 52 weeks a year?
Yeah.
Will you tell us how close have you got to that?
On a season, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I strongly believe Dunoon's been hit hard over the last 30 years for what I've seen. I've not been here, but for what I've seen. And I strongly believe Dunoon's on the up, massively on the up, right?
It's got a lot going for
Oh,
it.
I have a lot going for it.
It is a beautiful
and,
place.
And the thing is that a lot of people are, when you say Dunoon, you know, people think Dunoon, you know, that's a boat and that there, but it's never for Glasgow.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And that's what you've got to put out there. That there's, you know, you've got to, sometimes you've got to think for people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, and then say, well, look, it's literally from where you are just now to the hotel, it's an hour.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That there encourages people if they don't know that.
No, 100%. I think a lot of people see the ferry journey, which is 50 minutes, and then they actually generally think that they could only really go there on holiday. It's like, yeah, I think no matter where you go in the world, people have heard of Dunoon.
It's weird.
You know, it's like,
Everyone's,
I went there when I was like little or something like that, you know, but I think a lot of people think it's a lot further away than it is, you know, and it is, you're probably right, just try to get that across.
Or you drive round, which makes them off.
Oh, yes, I was then about an hour and a half, 2 hours, isn't it?
Yeah.
But beautiful
Nice
drive,
drive, right.
beautiful drive.
Yeah, it is.
doesn't get much better, to be fair. Some drive.
When the rest is open, obviously, the rest will be thankful.
Which isn't very
Yeah,
often.
I'll never forget the time of where me and my wife went down to Talbot Hotel for the first time, and it was like, it was if the road never ended. Do you know what I mean? But again, it's because one, I didn't know it, two, I wasn't used to it, and three, it was a rural road.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not like
You were
a
used to
motorway
Glasgow,
miles.
built
It was
up.
not, you know, it
city.
just, and I remember sitting behind this Corsa. I had an X5 at the time. Sitting behind this corner, this Corsa, a wheel banger Corsa, and I couldn't keep up with it. I couldn't, and I'm like,
yeah.
how the hell? And I'm like, how the hell has he managed to do this?
Aye.
But when you've actually drove up these roads 1,000 times now, and you never forget your first time, you realise, well, one, that guy knows the road like no.
Yes.
You know, it just becomes, and I just couldn't keep up with this Corsa. And then trust me, I like.
Was that an Eagle thing where you try to keep up with them?
Well, it's just, I had a 3.2, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And,
It's a 1.1 course in front of
and
you.
this thing just kept on just.
Lady driver, one
Do
lady
you know what I mean?
driver.
You like that. But again, you know, now it's like you drive down the road, you know every corner, every camber,
yeah.
you know every pothole, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that you can go fast, but you know what I mean. No, Do you know what I mean?
And they're beautiful drives. They are beautiful drives.
Stunning.
So, have you got a plan for the next 5-10 years? Or do you have a retirement plan really? Where have you got the next 5 years sought out, like where you'd like to be?
Well, the wish hat for me is that it's really going. That's really going to be doing it to my kids.
Yeah.
That's really going to be doing it to my kids. If they want it, then yeah.
What ages are they now?
Dylan's 26 and my twins are 22.
Right. Okay. And are they involved in the family business still?
No. Right now, there's nothing. Obviously, we're all shut.
Yes. Yeah.
They are involved, but they're not involved.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
They'll come and help out.
Oh no. Well, the plan is for Dylan to take over this place.
Right. Okay.
And the plan is for me to move down to Tarbert.
Right. Okay. So and then you can run that one.
Aye. Well, no, there's a few down there right next to each other, so I'm
Aye.
going to kind of ring fence all of them.
Yeah. No. Perfect.
That's the kind of plan.
Right.
No, that's good. That's good.
Let Dylan run this, and he could run this with his eyes shut. He has run this with his eyes shut. He can run this. You know, he's got the experience. He's been here a few years.
And what's your timeline for that?
It depends on this year.
Yeah, I
It
guess
depends on this
everything has. I mean,
Everything's been knocked on its head right now. Nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody can project anything for this year because nobody knows.
yeah,
Right now, it's a hit or a miss, especially the way things are. Certainly, you've still got to have some sort of plan, have some structure.
I think it's healthy for that as well.
Plan A, Plan B, Plan C. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because, you know, for what we were told last year, you weren't expecting it this year.
Yeah,
So people keep on saying, oh, but next year? We were saying that last year.
yeah, exactly.
So-
I mean, we're
so-
already...
It's
So-
a full year now.
We're already
So
at
to me,
March.
I've got to... What I've been working on now for the last few months is looking at the next 3 years.
Right, okay, yeah, so it's this widening your projection.
I've got to. Me personally, right now, this year, I've not looked at anything this year.
Yeah,
I've just looked at next year and the next. I've just been looking from 2022 to 2025,
yeah,
and putting this year to the side to see where we're going to go for the next 6 to 8 weeks, and see what kind of feedback. Yes, we have got certain things in place, but we've also lost a lot this year. All the big events, i.e., all the kind of Holland bus tours, the Park in the Peninsula's cancelled. Freestyle dance school, I don't think that's going to happen.
so this is events that you put on at this hotel.
Every year, we've got the kill game contract for all the judges. So we basically, we usually have that kind of, we transport them back and forth to the stadium, we feed them, we give them breakfast, give them accommodation.
And all of that.
All that there. Well, right now, I don't see it happening. It's not been confirmed. Obviously, last year it was cancelled, but again, it's down to social distancing. It's down to a number of things, you know. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But I middle of March, right? We're in the middle of March now. The way I look at it is the season's not even started, and it's finished.
Yes.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
That's a major loss for like this business.
for the doing, because it's not just myself. You know, you've got the shops, corner shops. You've got loads. Do you know what I mean? But again, you know, we're fortunate as well, of where when you can go to Spain, you go to Turkey. You know, these guys solely depend on tourists. They didn't have that last year.
Yeah.
They're not going to have that this year. They might not even have it next year. Right? You don't know.
We'll be lucky to have them. Never mind them have us. Do you know
Well,
what I
even
mean?
at that
If we were
there,
to
you
go
know,
away.
but you go back 4 or 5 years ago, all these countries were bankrupt.
Yeah.
Do you know? So have these people get back up? So we are very fortunate. Do you know what I mean? We are very
You're seeing it from a pretty
you-
positive
you-
standpoint.
Well, you have, you know, in the day I've still got a roof over my head. I've still got, you know, some sort of income. I've still got something.
yeah, that's a
You
good
know,
way to
of
look
where
at
a lot of people have got nothing. And trust me, and I've been there. I've got nothing. You know, so I appreciate everything I've got.
it. Yeah, well, I mean,
That's a great way to look at things, actually.
yeah, 100%. You and your entire family obviously went through a massive ordeal in terms of the bankruptcy, losing something that was so big to you as well, your livelihood, and you have built it back up over years. You have built it back.
20, what must be what? Well, it's about 25 years, 26
So
years now.
you're obviously a very resilient family, you know, and I think it being so close has probably helped you massively as well. You know, you've stayed together, kept supporting each other. No, I think it's amazing, and I think it's amazing what you have been doing at this hotel and are continue to do, and keep thriving.
There's still a lot of plans. There's still a lot of plans. We're only halfway through what we really the ultimate goal is.
Yeah,
I am looking at. We've got big plans for outside.
right.
We've got big plans for inside. There's maybe about on the front of the building, maybe about 4 weeks work left on the main building itself. The grounds, there's quite a bit of work still to be done, but the plans are there, the structure's there. 90% of the materials are there, which is half the battle.
Yeah, 100%.
And obviously the weathers have been against us, because we kind of stopped doing work. Well, we took it to the ultimate limit last year, where we were still working outside in November. Do you know what I mean?
And in Scottish and Dunoon, November.
Well, that was it. You know,
Really quite
and
something.
Exactly. But you look outside the Gillies entrance. You know, you'll see half of it's been pointed.
Yeah.
Or whether her stuff will be pointed, but just we were weather beaten, and you know we needed 2 straight days of dry weather, which you were getting over 8 weeks. You weren't getting it. You just weren't getting it, and it was knocking it on. It was costing major money.
Yeah.
But no, there's still big plans for here.
Next.
And then it's really then down to where we go for there.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be amazing, Ricky. Like, we know obviously some of the plans that you've got for the place. You know, it is going to be amazing. You have done so much already in the 7 years. Obviously, there's been setbacks like just now with the whole COVID thing. You know, that's set back everyone, and I guess hotels is definitely going to set people back. But
I actually took it to my advantage, to be fair, by going outside and working and keep myself busy, because if I didn't do that, I'd be climbing the walls.
100%. I think that's probably a lot of people in this pandemic have probably struggled in terms of they have just thought their entire world has stopped, you know, and that's not good for anyone, their mental health, physical health, anything like that, you know. So that's good that you have managed to use that to your advantage. Thinking back on everything, do you have anything that you would have done different? Can you think of anything obvious that you'd be like, you know, I wish I hadn't maybe done that, I had done this different? Are you quite happy with like
I could give you a book.
Really?
Right.
It's one of those things, make mistakes and just learn from them.
I could give you a book full.
Yeah. I think sometimes you need to make your mistakes though, don't you, too?
Well, you know, you can't fix your mistakes.
Yeah.
Right? You can't live in regret, because if you do, it will take over your life. All you can do is basically be wiser, stronger, and learn from it. Yeah. And that's all you can do, no matter who you are in the world. Do you know what I mean? No matter how much you would like to go back in time and say, oh, I wish I'd done this, wish I'd done that. You've done it. You know, learn from it. Yeah. You know, just don't do it again. Yeah. You know, it's like any person that comes in here. When I say to them in an interview and I decide to give them a job, the first thing I'm going to say to them and say, I know you're going to make a mistake. Just don't make the same mistake twice. Because it's good. No matter what mistake they do, it's costing you money. Yeah. And you've got to accept that.
Yeah. No, I think it's a fair point. You know, you're expecting everyone makes mistakes. Of course you expect them to.
Of course you do. But just don't make it twice. And if they do, sometimes it's like I could sit and read as we were discussing earlier on about, you know, reading and so on. Sometimes I've got to read a book 2 or 3 times before I can actually accept it in my head and say, right, okay, take it in what it's saying. It's like somebody coming and saying, right, okay, I'm going to show you how to do this. They're not going to learn it for the first time. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It can take 2 or 3 times because it's down to their learning capacity. Yep. And everybody is different. Everybody is different. No, definitely. And that's, I always like to kind of, you know, there's been many of people that I've employed of where they can run rings around me. They're that, and they can be 16, 17 years old, and they're 10 times me. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, I can't let them see that. I see that. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, I respect that. Yeah. You know, and I give them respect. But it's everybody's different.
So, if you were employing someone, would you take the person with the qualifications, or someone that was
with a good attitude,
experienced?
Yeah. What is your thing that you look for? Is it?
See, I've had on the day, even in the dairy game, and I could never really understand it of where you could be overqualified, and you can be overqualified. It's like I used to get guys coming in asking me for, if I've advertised, say, for a driver. Yeah. Right. You know, you need to go out on a run. You know, you know, with that, I've got to make sure you've got to get your bed at 5:30 in the morning. I've got to make sure you can drive a loaded van. I've got to make sure you can count money. Yeah. Right? You've got to have these qualities. You've got to be a people person. Yeah. Right? You've got to have these qualities. Right? Not everybody's got the qualities. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, I had people that was at university looking for a driving job and studying to be a scientist. Yeah. Right? You're overqualified to be working for me. Right? I'm not going to invest money in you for me to send you out training for you to go and do a run to chuck it 2 weeks later and I'm back at square one. Yeah, and I've just gave you 800 quid.
Yeah, that's quite a good, you would rather take someone that is actually looking for this more long term and willing to put in the time.
Well, the thing is it's like anything, you know, and it's like anybody as a boss. You're employing, you're giving that person a job, but you're actually investing in that person. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? To them, it's just a job. You know, when you're an employee, you actually work for them because they get paid. You got to make sure they're paid before you're paid. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And that's where you want people to grow with you. You know, and train them up or whatever. But you want them to grow with your business.
Yeah. 100%.
What's your interview process like then? Like, how quickly do you know, like, you're going to take somebody on or not?
I'd imagine over time you've become pretty good at, like,
telling quite quickly.
Not judging them too quick, but you know, you can probably pick up.
I know. I just don't. Before again, I've done, I don't know how many interviews, but I've done. And now it's really down to 3 stages. Yeah. I do 3 stages, and I certainly get references now. I check all the references. Because see the amount of people who lie to you.
People normally put, my last employer was my brother.
Well,
my mum.
See the amount of people that lie to you.
Yeah.
I was going to
Ricky,
just...
come on.
Nah, no worries. We're just about done anyway, Ricky.
Believe it or not, I actually turned that down. I actually turned the volume down. So the amount of people that do lie to you is they'll tell you anything and everything that they want to hear. You want to hear. As I would. When I'm selling, I'll promise the world. But the difference is, I've got a full 100. I've got 100%. I'm going to offer you that service.
Yeah.
Because I will make sure that happens. That's what I promised you. The amount of people that do that, it's just.
100%. Have you? Obviously, you've had all these hotels. Have you got any stories regarding either like celebrities you've had stay at one of the hotels, or just a crazy just a certain guest that stayed at your hotel? Have you got any stories that...
Loads.
Have you? Is there anything offhand?
I've had we had that 2015. We had that film crew here for 5 weeks. What was it called? Scottish Muscle.
Right.
So we had quite a lot of celebrities here.
Do you want a name drop? Any name dropping that you can go
I'm
on?
not shit names, but I can tell you what films we're in.
Right, okay.
Obviously, Kerry and Perry Go Large, the guys that was in that.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin.
We had Sweet 16, Angel Share, Spice Girls.
Spice Girls?
Spice Girls?
The guy that was in the Spice Girls.
Right, okay. The guy,
the guy that was in the Spice Girls.
Have you got any crazy stories in terms of certain guests? They're not even celebrities.
Who's been your wildest guest?
Good or bad?
Oh, I've had a few.
Anything that you can think of offhand?
What pops into your head straight away when you think?
There's quite a few.
It's like the confessions of a hotel owner.
Well, see, the thing is with hotels is that you get a lot of first dates.
Oh, right, okay.
Right?
Yeah,
so,
I like where this is going.
was it 2019? There was this Tinder date that turned up. And unfortunately, he got arrested. And he ended up battling her in the bedroom.
Whoa, these people, this is a first date?
That was a first date,
No
Sunday morning I got up and I'm going, what the hell's going on? And I went upstairs and the CID called my whole top floor off.
Jeez.
Jeez.
So there was all that commotion going on, you hadn't even woke up?
I didn't even know about it. All happened in the bedroom, and obviously she phoned the police.
That's quite a first date, isn't it?
Do you know what I mean?
I guess
that was a first date,
You need to be careful. I guess, it's probably not the greatest idea going to a hotel on your
I've
first
actually
date.
seen
Especially if you don't know
couples.
somebody.
I've actually had. You see a lot of affairs.
Oh, right, yeah, business trips.
No, well, yeah.
They're saying they're on business trips.
No, yes and no. I've actually had a couple come in and booked a room, paid the money, went upstairs, and it was actually one of my best mates was actually in the room next door painting it, right? And they came down like an hour later, right? But he already came down and said, Ricky, blah, blah, they're at it up there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're the guy that was
Because
painting.
obviously, he's
Yeah, I could hear it.
Aye, and he says, they're at it up there. And I went, all right, okay. For them to come back down 20 minutes later and say, look, we've decided not to stay.
20 minutes isn't bad going, to be fair to the guy.
No, but I'm sorry, after Andy came down, right?
Alright, so the guy done well.
Well, and he says, look, we've decided not to stay.
Oh, they tried
My partner has got breathing problems and has a really strong smell of paint, right? And I'm kind of going, well, no, because...
Yous have used the sheets.
I'm sitting there, wait, she doesn't know I know.
Yeah.
He's already came down saying, well, they're in blah, blah, blah. And so obviously when she turned around and says to me, and this is a strange thing.
Yeah.
Now, I never met him.
Alright, so he was...
She came in, booked in.
and it was her that was doing all the talking,
He went straight
communication.
upstairs. As soon as they done their deed, he went straight outside and she's like that to me. I says, well, look, leave it with me. I says, give me 5-10 minutes. She says, well, you can make me a pot of tea and bring it out to my car then. Right?
Ooh.
She wants her money back. Right? So, obviously, I went back up and I spoke to one of my colleagues and said, right, tell me exactly what you heard and what you've seen. Right? Because I said, she just came to front reception saying that... And
There's an issue in their leaving.
Well, I think I went up to him. I can't smell paint. Right? it's in a room. It's obviously the door shut. Blah blah blah.
What
right?
could you smell in that room?
Aye, some other substances.
Reeking of sex, was it?
So obviously, I brought her back in, and I told her, and says, "Well, look," I says, "just so you don't know, right? My colleague was in the room next door to you." I said, "You've used the bed, you've used the shower, you've done this." Now she was Asian, and as soon as I started telling her points, I just seen her the colour of her face.
Drop.
She had
Totally
no
dropped.
idea you would have had.
No.
It's just embarrassed.
Which tells me it was an affair.
Yeah.
They were both married. They came in, done their deed.
Yeah.
That was it.
Aye. They really needed to find somewhere that was paid by the other.
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
I mean, it was one thing doing that and then being trying to be cheeky enough to
Yeah.
then have got it for free.
Yeah.
I mean, being cheeky enough to go and get the room, just accept the room price, and then
that's
maybe
it.
leave that night. But
Yeah,
to
exactly.
try and be
See, well, the
cheeky,
thing is, because of this place, this hotel, I've actually refurbished quite a lot of rooms.
yeah.
The rooms that's not been refurbished, I class them online as budget rooms.
Ah, right, okay.
Right? As long as they're clean, they're en suite, blah, blah, but they're not refurbished. So
Yeah, there's like-
I've priced it as a budget room. So when people always want to go for a cheap room, oh, it's only 40 quid, it's only 50 quid, or
There's a
whatever.
reason why.
Right? But in the day, as long as it's clean, but it's a budget room.
Yeah.
It could be a massive room, right? Could be, but it's not been decorated, right? As long as it's clean. I've actually had people walk into a budget room and literally pull the curtains off a wall and come down and say, "I want another room."
Really?
Aye, 100%. I know these man because I put the curtains up. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, they're not
I
coming
just
down.
know, because what we do is that, you know, when we have arrivals, what we do is, which a lot of hotels don't, we'll go into the room and make sure the lamps are on, the TV's on, radiator's on, so it's nice and warm
Yeah.
to go in the room, blah, blah, blah. So if there's any issues, something's
You
not
know.
working, we know before they arrive.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you'd be surprised the amount of people.
You're always just going to get chancers, aren't you?
Yeah.
You know, and I guess
You know, it's like you can. I've had people book in online, and a family room, right? 4 people, right? It's a double and 2 singles, right? And there's like 6 of them still in the back of the van out of the 4 people.
like 10 of them going into one
No,
room.
no, I've seen it. I've seen it. I've had.
And what do you need? Do you? I mean, see, back in the day, did you used to let it slip because you
No,
thought
never.
never let it slip?
Let it slip. You can't because then what happens is your fire alarm goes off.
Oh, right,
right?
okay, so
You've
it's
got to
more
have a
like
head count.
legal reasons.
Oh yeah, you've got to
right.
have, you've got to have a head count. Do you know what I mean? Somebody's missing or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So it's breach.
Yeah,
You know, and it's a number of things.
yeah.
A number of things. But you get that as well.
You must
know,
see some
people
around.
try to sneak in dogs. Do you know what I mean?
Aye.
I've even had people try to sneak cats in bags.
Too far.
Honestly,
Cats and bags.
honestly.
That's unbelievable.
And the thing is that you catch them and then you give you a bad rate on TripAdvisor.
Yeah. I
Do you
think
know what I mean?
TripAdvisor's
I don't-
changed a lot, you know, because people can say
Try
whatever
and
they
use it
want
as leverage, don't
and
they?
give you the
Get
review.
away
Oh,
with
no,
it.
here I've had people stand at my front reception threatening me social media.
Oh, jeez.
Right? Literally wanting money back or wanting something for nothing. And I remember one of the occasions what they said was, social media is a very powerful thing.
It is. It can
Very
be.
powerful thing. Of course
know.
it is. And the thing is don't get me wrong, you do get phone calls. You know, oh, I've seen your comments and I've seen this. People do throw it at you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
They try and use it as leverage.
And to be fair, I don't let it get to me.
You need to have a thick skin as well because you need to be able to see. I guess you need to be able to. You must learn quite a lot, you know, and in terms of being able to see the chancers, see the genuine people, you know, and I guess everything has probably changed in terms of social
All it
media.
can take is one person. That's all it can take to change everything.
Yeah.
All it can take is one person.
Social media has totally changed it, you know, like with people like
Cancel
vloggers,
culture and all that as well.
yeah, influencers, and then like we're saying like TripAdvisor. Do you know what I mean? Like people can say whatever they want really in terms of, you know, I guess it's a good thing and a bad thing, isn't it?
I think TripAdvisor are a lot to themselves, to be honest with you, because there's been many occasions of where we've had genuine functions, good events
Yeah.
happen, right? And people put things up and say this happened and it was fantastic and blah blah blah. And TripAdvisor took it down.
Really?
That's happened so many times. And people and TripAdvisor's emailing to the person, which has been my customer, saying, well, I'm sorry, we think this is a false thing.
Oh, really? They think it's yourself doing it, you know, but they wouldn't do that on a
to be
bad
honest with you,
review.
if you actually look at any of my TripAdvisors, I reply to nothing.
Yeah.
I don't get myself involved for tit for
Yeah.
tat, because that's all it becomes, and I'm not going to get myself bogged down.
Yeah.
You know, as I said to you, no matter if I can't deal with it there and then, I've got no chance.
Yeah,
Do you
exactly.
know what I mean? And I'll do everything.
So you'd rather someone, if they had an issue, just come to you in the front desk and you'd be able to, you would be able to turn it around.
Look, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You'll do anything you can within your means,
Reason.
Within reason, and your means to make it happen.
Yeah.
And again, unfortunately, there's just some people you just can't please.
Yeah. So where do you see yourself in the next couple of years now then?
Next couple of years, we should have our Gillies open.
A bar? Restaurant?
Bar restaurant, yes.
Fantastic.
That there, the plan was April next year, but I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
But the plan is to have that all up and running, have the Kintyre side just open for function, weddings, bus tours, but have that open 24/7.
Yeah, we've seen the Gillies. It's obviously right now it's been taken back, but it's a beautiful.
You can see the
beautiful
potential in it, can't you?
Yeah,
You really can.
it's going to be. I've got so many good ideas. The problem is with this building is heating.
Yeah.
Because obviously if the wind comes off that water, hit the building, it's a fight. Plus it's not double glazing, it's sash and case. Temperature can drop quick, as you mentioned. He says, well, really quite, 10 minutes ago.
When all the lights went off and all the heat went off. I mean, it is quite warm in this room now, but when all that happened, it cooled down quick.
You feel it,
Gets
yeah.
cold,
Well,
right.
imagine when it's winter and you've got maybe 50, 60 degree winds hitting off that water into this building.
Yeah.
It's a fight. So
Yeah.
what we decided to do was we're going to put in heated flooring.
Brilliant.
I love fire effect surroundings, so I'm going to do something
Yeah.
with that within the bar itself. Just something I want to do.
It's just brilliant. I think it's just brilliant that, like, right now, when everyone, during the pandemic, when everyone just thinks everything's stopped, you are just pushing forward.
I've got to, because if I don't, then you end up just giving up, don't you?
Yeah. And
You know?
I think what probably, like, does you knowing that you're going to, your son's going to inherit this one day, does that kind of keep you pushing forward? Is that a thought that's in your mind?
Yeah, oh no, it's always been, well, that's what it's always been about. Do you know what I mean? When I became a father, again, it's commitment. You're working for your family. Do you know what I mean? No matter who you are as a parent, no matter who you are, obviously you're not parents yet, but your thought process is different.
Changes.
It changes, because at the end of the day, it's all about them.
Is that what keeps you so motivated then, and so hungry for, like, keep pushing forward?
Well, yeah, but also
Self-motivated as well?
Yeah, it's achievement. Do you know what I mean? You can sit back and go, well, you know what, I done that. I will not sit in a nursing home and later on in life and say, I wish I'd done this and I wish I'd done that. Or I'm just going
Live without regrets.
Well, obviously that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, but, my plan is to, I don't like work the way I work. Of course I don't. Do you know what I mean? But unfortunately, I'm committed.
Yeah.
I've commitments.
In too deep with it all as well.
Of course you are.
aren't
Do you know what I mean? And I'm certainly not going to leave my kids problems.
Yeah.
Yes, they've got to have responsibility. Yes, they're going to have issues that will come up.
But you want to set them up as much as
But
possible.
I want to set them up as much as possible and minimise as much as possible, and not go through what I went through.
Yeah.
No,
honestly, Ricky, we honestly wish you the best of luck. You're doing amazing. And thank you, honestly, so much for coming on the
Appreciate
podcast, telling us your stories, giving us your kind of the backstory of how you've got to this where you are right now. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Maybe in a couple of years' time we can maybe do it again, but I'll take you around and show you what we've done from now on.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And I'm sure that if everything goes to plan, I'll shock you.
Yeah.
I'll rephrase that for you. I'll shock the noon.
I hope so.
I
really
look forward
hope so.
to it. I look forward to it because it needs
I
it.
believe in you, man, 100%. 'Cause I've seen your work ethic.
Yeah.
Don't doubt you at all.
Nah, I don't doubt it for at all. And I want that to happen. We wish you.
Look forward to sitting having a wee drink at the Gillies
Yeah.
one day.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
thank you.
class.
I do believe that if I pull it off, I can put Dunoon on. I'm not saying they're not on the map, but I think I could really put more.
Bring more eyes and bring more.
100%.
Yeah.
People are
And that's the
coming.
advantage. That's one of the, and I'm not going to get into it too much, but the advantage is being at the front of that boat terminal.
Yes, yeah.
And I know it's not giving me business, but
It gets eyes on you.
what I'm planning to do, and the plan was to do it next year. Oh, sorry, I rephrased it. This year, shall we say December? It's not going to be this December. It's going to be a year in December of what I want, and it will definitely bring recognition.
Yeah, raise some eyebrows as well.
It will definitely put us on the map in a bigger way.
Brilliant,
Good.
brilliant. Well, thanks, Ricky. It's been honestly an absolute pleasure.
It's a plan, isn't it?
And we'll come back.
Hope
We'll
it
come
goes to
back.
plan.
Yeah. Thank
Gotta
you.
try it, man. No, thanks you guys.
Cheers, mate.
It's been brilliant.
Aye.
Oh,
Right.
excellent.